Right. We were focusing on the trunk ports and access port. Today our focus is on understanding different port modes. Port mode. Port modes. You see, by default, all the ports will be operationally, see, operational. Access. Administratively, auto. See, these two words are very important. Operationally, meaning what it is doing. Administratively means what has been configured. Administrator puts the configuration, right? When administrator don't put any configuration, whether to be a part of single VLAN or part of multiple VLAN, when you don't put any configuration, what does that mean? It means it is in auto mode. It is not in a blocked mode or some mode. It is in auto mode. Auto mode. Administratively, auto mode. Meaning no configuration is given by the administrator to the port. So by default, the manufacturer says if no configuration is done, it needs to be administratively auto. Operationally, what it will do by default, operationally it will be access. What is access? What is an access port? The port that is responsible for single VLAN traffic. The port that cares about only one VLAN traffic, meaning any traffic comes to that port will be identified as one of the VLAN traffic. Which VLAN traffic? It depends on what you configure. If I say VLAN 10, then all the traffic entering into that port will be considered as VLAN 10. And if any traffic is coming from VLAN 10, then the traffic alone will be sent to this port. VLAN 20 traffic will not be forwarded to this port, only 10. I repeat, when we don't configure, each port will be accessed by default. The reason is administratively, we did not do any configuration, it is in auto mode. When it is in auto mode, operationally, it is ready to provide service. It is not blocking any traffic. Even though administrator has not done any configuration, it is operational, it is working. It is working. And the port is working for not all VLANs. You may have in the switch VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and then the default VLAN 1. You may have these VLANs created, but this port which is in an operational mode can be a part of single VLAN only. When you don't configure VLAN, you know very well all ports are member of VLAN 1. It is access and member of VLAN 1. Now you might have put these ports in VLAN 10 access. These ports are configured as VLAN 10. Now, these access ports will not accept any traffic coming from VLAN 1. See, this PC is sending a layer 2 broadcast. That broadcast will be forwarded to these ports, but not to any of these ports, because this port is an access port which can be a part of a single VLAN only. Already you have said this port is a part of VLAN 10. This port is a member of VLAN 10. Likewise, any broadcast that is coming from this port will go to these ports, but not to any of the down ports. So what is an access port? An access port is a port that can transmit and receive traffic of a particular VLAN. By default, it is access only. Operationally, it is not ready to carry multiple VLAN traffic. Not ready to carry multiple VLAN traffic. That is what operationally means. Now, I remove this default mode. I can put access or trunk. When you put access, operationally it is going to be access. But when you put trunk, operationally it has to switch to trunk. Operationally, that port will become available for all VLANs. Yesterday I showed you trunk port. Operationally, it is ready to now send and receive VLANs of all traffic when you configure. When you configure trunk, you saw me configuring trunk yesterday. When you configure a port as a trunk, operationally, it will change its policy. Earlier, the default policy, access policy, is to be part of a single VLAN. But because administrator has put be a trunk command, because administrator has said you are supposed to be trunk. As soon as administrator puts the command, the operational mode will become trunk. Now, if the administrator don't put any, it means auto. What does that auto means? It can be an access or it can be a trunk. That port is ready to be an access or a trunk. But operationally, it will be access. How long? Until someone comes and negotiates trunk. Until some other switch comes and negotiates trunk. What does that mean? In yesterday's lab, I had a link between these two switches. Both the ports were auto by default. But the moment I said trunk here, what happened? Here also this became trunk. How? Operationally it became trunk. Administratively it is auto, But operationally it became trunk because this switch 1 went to the other end and said, I'm a trunk. What do you want to be? You decide. Then this port, what it does, it says, okay, if you are trunk, I have no problem turning into a trunk. When administratively it is auto, I can be axis or a trunk. By default, operationally, I'm axis. But now because you are trunk, let me also become a trunk. You see, here administratively I configured trunk. Operationally, it must be a trunk because I administratively said you are a trunk. Whereas on the switch to administratively it is auto, operationally it has become trunk. This operational lead is trunking because of negotiation. But this is trunking not because of negotiation, it is because of turning on. I turned on the trunk by configuring trunk. Difference, you see, it is not same. Switch 1 is operationally trunk because administratively I said you don't have a choice. You should be trunk. I on the trunk mode. Whereas this side, switch 2 is trunking not because administrator is configured, not because of that. It is because of the neighbor. Neighbor is coming and negotiating. N means what? Negotiation. Negotiating. It comes and says, what is negotiation? It comes and says, I'm a trunk man. What do you say? So this guy says, okay, no problem. I can be a trunk because I'm an auto. Auto means I can be an axis or a trunk. No one told me what I need to be, so I was an axis. But now you are saying you are a trunk. Let me also become a trunk so that operationally when both sides are trunk, I can receive all that you send. Because now I'm also a part of all VLANs. You see, this is how the Cisco devices are by default designed. You don't need to take pain of configuring the second switch as a trunk. You don't need to take that pain. One side when you configure trunk, the other side when you don't put any other administrative command like axis, when you don't make it as an axis, when you leave it as default auto, this side becomes trunk. I would like to show you this before I take you to next level. Two switches now. I'm going to show you all that I have just put to you. Let us connect two wire first. Sorry, one wire on this two switch. Before I go and show you some outputs, with this topology, I would like to explain one more time and then show you the outputs. You see, we have not done any configuration. Just for our reference, I'll configure this as switch A and this as switch B. And then I will go to each port on both the switches. And I will show you both administrative mode and operational mode. Right? What you should be expecting to see there is administrative mode will be auto. Operationally, what you can expect is access. Let's go and see this, okay? This is what you should see there. I go enable config T hostname switch A. Nothing other than this I configured. Name is very important so that when I explain, when I use the name, you understand better. Even if you don't give name, whatever you learned is going to be there. Don't think only the host name makes the sports operational. No. All right, let's check this show. This is the command. Show interface F0/1 switch port. This is the command. Switch port command. You see, you don't put show IP command. IP is only for layer 3. This is layer 2 now. We are learning in we are in switching. Learning switching. All right, I'm going to hit enter. See what happens. Administrative mode is auto. By default, all the switch ports are no shut, means up, enabled. Administrative mode is auto. Operational mode is access. What is this word static? We did not do anything static. That's syntax. Don't care about it. Ignore it. It is access, meaning it is a part of single VLAN. It's a part of access mode, and VLAN is one part of a single VLAN. It is in access. Administrative mode is auto. Now let us go to the other switch and see the status. Show interface F0/1 switch port. Here also you see the same story. Administratively auto, operationally access. Now, show VLAN brief. Where is that port? Port is a member of VLAN 1. Now what I'm going to do next is, I'm going to make this port trunk. I'm going to make administratively trunk. After which, what I want to see is this to be a trunk, this to be a trunk. It is trunking because of negotiation. Administrative mode is auto. Whereas here, we have turned on the trunk. This is what I want to see as well as show you. Are you ready? Shall we go check it? Let's do. I'm on switch A. I'm going to put the interface F before that. See this. Show interface trunk, nothing on either side. Even in the previous class, I did this same command. I showed you. Show interface trunk. You see nothing. Now going to switch A under under interface F0/1. I'm saying switch port mode. You see, you have access, you have dynamic, you have trunk. What is default? Auto. I'm going to say I would like to switch to. I would like to switch to trunk. TR. As soon as I say this, you see the process restarts on the port because the mode is changed. Policy is changed. Earlier, it was not supposed to be part of many VLANs, only one VLAN. Now the interface is ready to be a part of all VLANs that you have configured. You see now, show interface, it says administratively, someone has turned on the trunk. As a result, operationally, I'm forced to be a trunk. Not only that, by using this protocol called .1q, I am going to negotiate with that neighbor. I'm going to negotiate with my neighbor. And now if you see, my neighbor is also trunking operationally. But if you go up and see, it was not trunking earlier. Now it is trunking operationally. All right. Now here in this switch where the trunk got negotiated, trunk role came because of negotiation, I would like to show you this command. Show interface trunk. It says this port is ready to allow all VLANs now. It is trunking. Though the mode is auto, it is trunking. How? Because of .1q protocol negotiation. You see above .1q. IEEE 802.1q. This .1q. IEEE 802.1q negotiated. That is why I am trunking. Because of the protocol request, I am trunking. That's the meaning of this. Whereas, if you go to switch 1, this should not show that same output. This should say, I'm trunking because someone on the trunk. I'm trunking not because of N. Where is N here? There is no N. No negotiation. Someone has on the trunk. It is not auto. Trunk is on. Administratively on. That is why it is trunking. Not because of, see the difference in the output. Here you have N and auto. There you don't have auto and N. Did you understand this? Making this trunk. Now I'm not going to make this trunk. I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this axis. This still remains auto, okay? This is still remaining auto. Now, when you manually put this as auto, sorry, axis, when you administratively configure this as axis, this operationally forced to be only axis. As a result, there is no negotiation going, no negotiation, no .1q going and telling I want you to be a trunk. No, it is not telling. So, as usual, when administrator don't put any configuration, it needs to be what? That is what going to be. You see the problem solved. This side is also access, this side also access. No confusion. I'm going to show you that. I'll go and change this trunk to access. As soon as I change it as access, this will be forced to be an access. And the negotiation will get withdrawn and this will go back to access. Switch B will go back to access automatically. Let's see that. Right now, switch B is trunking because of negotiation. And in switch B, when you type show VLAN brief, you don't see, hey, brief. You don't see port number 1 because right now it is trunking. It won't come under any VLAN when it is a part of all VLAN. Same story with switch A. Show VLAN brief. F01 is not part of any VLAN. But when I go to that F01, switch port mode access, I'm saying no need of trunk. I, administrator, tell you, you be an access. This is what administrative mode. So what happened immediately? It resets. And now let's go back and see. Show VLAN brief has got the interface back. Show interface trunk, no interface. Show interface F0/1 switch port. You can see here, because I made administrative mode as access, operational mode is forced to be an access. Trunk negotiation is off now. It cannot go and say, come, let's form a trunk. It cannot do that. So when you go to switch B and check show VLAN brief or no, give some time. The real switches will have immediate impact, but this is taking some time. The reason is this is still in red color. It has to turn. Do is I can just shut down this port and unshut. Interface F0/2 shut down, and I say unshut. Okay. Show VLAN brief. Oh no, let's wait some time. Show interface. Still trunking. How come I shut down the port? This is simulator. It has got some limit. Oh, I was shutting down a wrong port. Shut down. Now it should work. Show VLAN brief. You should see that. Hey, sorry, wait some time then. Though auto negotiated, trunk is auto negotiated, recommended is go and configure trunk. So now I want to access, still not coming. So better what you do is you go to the port and make it as access here also if you want that to be access. See, the previous negotiation is still here in the registry. Taking a long time. That is why you have an option of configuring it as access manually as well as trunk, so that you will not end up in this type of trouble. Auto is good, but sometimes, when you switch back to access from trunk, it gets stuck like this because of the previous negotiation in the memory. Now let us go and say F0/1 switch port mode access. I'm here administratively making it as access. Let us check now. Show interface or show VLAN brief. See, the port has come back. Show interface trunk, definitely it is not going to be because I hard coded show interface F0/1 switch. I have made statically access, so administratively it is access. Right now, this also should come green. Why it is showing this inconsistent port? I'll just reset, shut down, and no shutdown. In the real world, the shutdown and no shutdown is a very powerful tool, troubleshooting tool. Though it looks simple, it solves a lot of problems sometimes. When you shut down, everything in the buffer get erased. The old configuration registries. So it is ready for new current status. I'm waiting this both to become green. Okay, good. Fixed. So now what happened? I configured, not this one, I configured access here, and I was expecting this to turn trunk. It didn't turn, sorry, access. It didn't turn immediately because the old negotiation was holding that trunk mode. So I here also made administrative access. So this is accessing now. Fine. Now it is a good practice to always configure access port whenever you want to make the port to be a member of a single VLAN. What I'm trying to say is this is our previous topology. These ports I have not configured as access, though they belong to a single VLAN. If you see, show interface F0/2 switch port. It is dynamic auto. This is not a good practice. When it is a member of a particular VLAN, production VLAN, it should be configured as access. When you are sure that it is not going to trunk, it is good to put it as trunk. Sorry. When you are sure that these ports belong to a single VLAN, a particular VLAN, not more than one VLAN member, only one VLAN member, then go and configure access. It's a very good practice. Otherwise, what will happen, Some bad guys can do this one. They can remove your computer. They can remove your computer and connect to their small packet switch which they brought in the packet, and you see this is the packet switch. What they will do, they'll configure trunk here. Here it is auto. Operationally it will become trunk, and then now they remove this and then they connect your PC. What will happen? Can anyone guess what will happen? You just saw some time back, it got stuck in trunk, the negotiation. Wait, very, very nice thought you have, but that's not the actual story. I appreciate that. You see, it got stuck in trunk because of the negotiation. And now this guy can, as he said, yeah, you said rightly actually. I don't know why the word is VLAN hopping. This guy, this now this computer. If this is also a bad guy's computer, he can now hop between all VLANs. We call it as VLAN hopping attack. He can say I'm a part of VLAN and go VLAN 10. He will go and talk to VLAN 10 members. He will say, I'm part of HR, he will go and talk to HR. I am a part of production, he will go and talk to production. Very dangerous attack. But again, only if it gets struck. Not all the time it gets struck like that. So what I'm trying to say is don't leave it as auto. Instead of going to every single interface, I'm going to go to F0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 and make it as access. That is good practice. Whenever you're connecting to a server computer, don't leave it auto. You need to configure as access. So interface range F0/1 hyphen 4 comma F0/6. So I have gone to all these 5 ports. Now I'm saying switch port mode access. Boom. This is a very, very safe thing. Attackers cannot do VLAN hopping attack. Likewise, in this switch 1, 2, and 4, interface range F0/1 to and 4. Switch port mode access. Okay, next. This is very important what you have learned. But there is also another mode called dynamic desirable. Dynamic desirable. You see, I'll show you the command. Sorry, not the F01 port. Yeah, according to this topology, F05. Or let's go back to the old topology. I don't want to mess with this. Tomorrow we may need this topology for another lab. So you see, I'm going to have, oh, here we have, I'm going to have this side dynamic desirable configured. And this side, assume this side is default auto. Here I am going to configure dynamic desirable. This side, it is default. What will happen? See, dynamic desirable meaning I want to be a trunk. I want to be a trunk. This port is saying, I want to be a trunk. Currently, I'm operationally access. I want to be a trunk. I want to be a trunk only if you agree. That's the negotiation coming. Now, because this side is auto, this guy will say, oh, why not? And now that makes this to be trunk. That is called dynamic desirable. Dynamically, it becomes trunk by expressing the desire. When other switch agrees that desire, then only this dynamically turns to be trunk. But if this is in an access mode, this switch will not agree. This guy is saying, if you willing to become a trunk, this guy will say, no, I cannot become a trunk. I'm hard coded to be what? Access. Then this will continue access. This will remain access. Did you understand dynamic desirable? This dynamic desirable is not an option in other vendors. It is only an option in Cisco. Yeah, right. So dynamic desirable, how to configure? Show interface F0/1 switch mode. What is the current mode? It is in auto. I'm going to say switch port mode. You see, dynamic desirable. The default is auto, but I'm saying no. Dynamic desirable. What does it mean? நீ போய் அவன்கிட்ட கேளு ட்ரங்க் ஆகிறானான்னு கேளு அவன் ஒத்துக்கிறானா நீயும் ட்ரங்க் ஆயிடு அப்படின்னு சொல்ல வரேன் நான். I said dynamic desirable. Now let's go and check. Show interface F0/1 switch port. By typing dynamic desirable, I said go to the next fellow member, check whether he is willing to form trunk. If he says yes, only then you become operationally trunk, which means you negotiate. I'm not owning trunk. You negotiate. Show interface trunk. You see, negotiation. I did not own, and it is neither auto. It is willing to form trunk. And the other guy supported. Now go and check the other guy. Other guy is still auto. Because he is auto, he agreed. Show interface trunk. Because he is auto, he agreed to become a trunk. This successful negotiation made that switch to become trunk. If the other switch would have been configured as access, this would have not trunked. Did you understand? Let's try seeing that. Let's try doing that. I'll take fresh to switch. I don't want to alter and get stuck for a long time. So now this I'm going to administratively configure as access. First, let me do that. Switch port mode access. Administratively, I have made it as access. Now, I'm going to this guy. Interface F0/1, switch port mode, dynamic, desirable. Let's verify now. Show interface trunk. No trunking. Why? The negotiation will not be successful. Show interface F0/1 switch port. It is still access only because the other guy is not supporting. The other guy, show interface F0/1 switch port. The other guy cannot support because administratively it is access. Show interface trunk not possible at all. You see, this has turned green, but still it is continuing to be access because the friend is not supportive. Did you understand the meaning of dynamic desirable now? Right. Let's solve